Okay, so point number one, and again, for the month of, essentially what I'm trying to do here is I want you to put together a list of things to do in the month of June. So forget the 24 topic, just write down things to do in the month of June, because all of these things are things, all the things I'm going to share are things that I want you to do in the month of June. Let me just make sure I have my notes. There we go. Okay, good. So first things first, I want you to have, point number one, I want you to have a social media strategy in the month of June with an emphasis on buyer success stories. A social media strategy in the month of June with an emphasis on buyer success stories. Why buyer success stories? Because I want you to stand out, number one. Number two, I know in your market, just like in our market, inventory is still low. Buyers are losing out on offers. Buyers aren't getting their offers accepted because of multiple offer situations. So while everyone is out there sharing, watch this. While everyone is out there sharing how they got their seller 103% asking price and they did it in 3 days, which by the way is great. But if everyone's doing that, then the consumers start to pick up on the fact that it's not the real estate agent, it's the market that did that, right? And you know, you go on appointments all the time and sellers will say to you, well, yeah, but isn't the market pretty hot, Jeff? I mean, I know your marketing strategy is probably strong, but let's be honest. I mean, everyone in the neighborhood is getting multiple offer situations. If you're going on appointments right now, you're probably hearing that. However, the reason why I want you to focus on buyer success stories in the month of June, and I would even go as far as doing something in your office Facebook group. Hey, from now on, everyone share the success stories with buyers in the month of June. The reason why I want you to do that is this, because first things first, your Facebook friends, your Facebook network is your database, right? In fact, we really have three databases, okay? You have your CRM, which I'm sure many of you are using Command for your CRM. Whatever your CRM is, you have your CRM, you have your past clients and sphere of influence database, and then you have your social media database. Now, wouldn't it be great if all of them were in one place? Well, technically, you could put your past clients in Sphere, you could add them as friends on social media, so you could combine that into two. But the point I'm trying to make is your third database or your first database, depending on how you see it, is your social media friends, your Facebook friends, your Instagram followers, right? That is another database. That is another opportunity to use language that they use in the advertising industry to make impressions, right? That is an opportunity to have impressions on people. So now watch this. So let's just pretend for a moment you've got 1,000 friends. At some point in time this year, every single one of your friends on Facebook is going to know somebody buying or selling, right? I think we can all agree that everyone knows somebody buying or selling at some point in time. So what I want to encourage you to do for the month of June, you can do it for the rest of the year if you want, but I want you to start in the month of June. I want you to start by sharing buyer success stories. And let me tell you what kind of success stories I want you to share. I want you to share, number one, when they get their offer accepted and they were in a multiple offer situation. So if you had 7 other buyers that they competed with, hey, let's just pretend everyone does the closing photos with the little signs or maybe around the yard sign, whatever. Instead of saying, hey, wish them congratulations on their new home. They closed on this property on 123 Banana Street. I want you to add to that. They closed on this property on 123 Banana Street and competed with 8 other offers. They looked at 3 homes and we got their offer accepted, on the 3rd property, and they were competing with 8 other offers. By the way, there's 3 things that you can promote as a buyer's agent. Ready? When you won multiple offer situations, and it helps if you can find out from the listing agent how many. Okay, it doesn't have to be exact, right? If they say, oh, we had a handful, okay, fine. You competed with 3 offers, whatever, to find a handful. So I want to know how many offers you beat. These are the 3 things that you can promote as a buyer's agent. Okay, how many offers you beat, how much money you saved them. Now you're probably saying, well, in this environment, how are we saving money? Watch this: inspection issues, appraisal issues. So let's say your buyer pays full price, 200,000 list price, they pay full price. Or even let's say they pay $5,000 over asking, 205 on 200. But there's some inspection issues and there's appraisal issues. So you end up getting them, say, $15,000 off. 5,000 for inspection issues and maybe an appraised 10,000 low. That means you have an opportunity to promote that you saved that buyer $15,000 on their home purchase. That's the second thing I want you to promote whenever you save a buyer money. The third thing I want you to promote is the time it took to acquire a home. From the time we started looking at homes, Mary and Bob looked at 12 homes, and we did it in under 3 weeks and got their offer accepted in under 3 weeks. Time. Okay, those three things, multiple offer situations, one, money saved, and time spent viewing homes, are three things that someone in your database will screenshot and will send it. And yeah, Scott, if you hadn't noticed, this is death to BlackBerry. I no longer have a BlackBerry. This isn't. I still
Can't believe it.
I did not go to iPhone. It is a Samsung.
Not
Anyways,
yet.
I know I'm keeping it low. I did not announce it. I thought I should go live on Facebook and maybe tell the world about it, but I'm keeping it on the down low because I still have a lot of love for my Blackberries. Anyways, why do I want to share those three things? Because if I share those three things, then they're going to get screenshot, and they're going to get screenshot and sent to someone that doesn't even know who I am, because someone on Facebook saw that I was sharing buyer success stories, and here they are out to dinner having a conversation. Oh my God, we've been looking at homes for months and we can't get our offer accepted. There's so many multiple offer situations. You're kidding me. Which agent are you working with? Do you know Jeff Glover? No, we don't know Jeff. Well, I've been seeing on Facebook all these different stories of him getting buyer's offer accepted the first time around. In fact, yesterday, I think I just saw that he saved a buyer like $17,000 on their sale. You're kidding me. We've been told we have to pay over asking every single time. The point is it will get people talking and it will get people coming your way. So point number one, have a social media strategy for the month of June that is a focus on buyer success stories. Ready? Point number two, I want you to create a Facebook group for your neighborhood. Create a Facebook group for your neighborhood in the month of June. Okay. Things that you might be saying, well, we already have a neighborhood Facebook group. Create another one. Okay. I'm not saying you want to put the other one out of business, so to speak. You're just going to create a more specific one. For instance, I live in a neighborhood called Walnut Creek Estates. I created a Facebook group called Neighbors of Walnut Creek Estates. And we and our agents do this all the time. In fact, Taylor just did one recently for her neighborhood. She's got a neighborhood of like 500, 600 people. She's got over 100 people in her Facebook group now for her neighborhood. You create a generic 5x7 postcard. I say generic because it can't have your name on it. It can't have your logo on it. It can't have your phone number on it. It can't have your brand on it. It almost has to look like it came from the subdivision association. And it's a postcard to promote the neighborhood Facebook group. So you go out there and you get a picture of the entry sign to the neighborhood. You slap it on the postcard. You put, joining the neighborhood Facebook group is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, search Walnut Creek Estates. Step 2, click join. Step 3, you're in, whatever, right? Send out a postcard to the neighborhood, getting people into your Facebook group, your neighborhood Facebook group. And don't be salesy. Don't ask for business. Be a resource. Organize the first neighborhood get together. Now that the things are starting to loosen and get-togethers and gatherings are starting to take place. Our governor yesterday just announced that gatherings of up to 100 people are allowed. We go from less than 10 to now up to 100. Well, we found out she has a graduation party coming up for her senior graduating high school this year, but that's beyond the point. Anyways, no, I'm not upset with our governor, I promise. So create a neighborhood Facebook group. If one already exists, create a second one. Now, if you're thinking, if one already exists, how could I create a second one? Well, if Neighbors of Walnut Creek Estates already existed, I live on a golf course. Maybe I would create one that says, Neighbors of Walnut Creek Estates who golf. Right? Or maybe I do dads of Walnut Creek Estates, or maybe I do moms of Walnut Creek Estates. There's a lot of power in owning a Facebook group in your neighborhood, especially when you can control the conversation. Strong strategy. It's working for us well right now. Number 3, identify 1 to 2 scripts in the month of June. Identify 1 to 2 scripts in the month of June that you need for your business. So for instance, things have changed. Obviously, things are starting to loosen up. Things are starting to return to normal. For many of you, maybe it's already been to normal. The month of May, we had a crazy busy May. but there's still one or two scripts that you need to learn and master moving forward. I'll give you a for instance. So one of the things that COVID taught us was that our clients are very open to doing Zoom conversations. It taught us that our clients are very open to doing Zoom calls. And so what we're doing moving forward, you're all familiar with the pre-qual script for sellers. There's also one for buyers. You can do this for buyers as well. What we're doing moving forward is all of our pre-qual, instead of being over the phone, it's going to be done through Zoom. You know, the questions that we ask before we come out to meet with them to list their property, the pre-qual script. By the way, if you want a copy of any of my scripts, easy way to get them is by texting the word scripts, plural, SCRIPTS. So just like you were texting your friend, you text the word scripts to the number 33777. So I know it's not 7 digits. When they told me that I could start using that, I'm like, well, wait a minute, where are the rest of the digits? And they're like, trust me, it works. The number is 33777. So just as if you were texting a new number, 33777, and the word scripts, and you'll get a copy of all of our scripts. Well, anyways, one of the scripts that we're changing, thank you for that. One of the things that we're changing is doing our listing pre-qual via Zoom. So watch this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me ask you a question. Would it be helpful? Well, let me back up for a second. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm guessing when I come out, you probably want me to give you an idea what your home is worth, right? Oh yeah, that's what we're expecting. Perfect. Now, before I come out, I have a series of questions to ask you. That's part of the script. And one of them, in order for me to determine the most accurate value of your home, is to get a better understanding of what your home actually has to offer. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to be better prepared for the appointment by doing a Zoom session with you right now, or maybe we can schedule it for later this afternoon, where you just take your phone and you just kind of walk me through your house and show me around. You know, I might have some questions as we walk through, but that will help me be better prepared to present you a more accurate price on your property. Okay, do you want a more accurate price on your property? Now, you don't want me to be one of those agents that just comes out, looks at your house, and gives you a price right on the spot, do you? No. We want you to put some time into it. Exactly. Now, by the way, I was one of those agents until the Zoom became popular. Everyone knows how to do Zoom or FaceTime now. So the point is, you're probably saying, well, why are you doing it via Zoom, Jeff? Two reasons. Number one, because I really do want to get a better idea. I really do want to get a better picture of what their home is worth, so I'm better prepared for my pricing, right? You've been there before. You know, you got your folder, you're all excited, you're ready to present, and you get to the house, and it's nothing at all like what they told you, right? I see in the message there, yeah. So 33777, and the word scripts. Make sure the word scripts is plural. If you guys are having issues, let me know that, okay? So if you do that, here's the most important reason why you do the pre-qual via Zoom. Ready? To build a higher level of rapport than everyone else, okay? To build a higher level of rapport than everyone else. Let's say they're meeting with 3 agents. Well, we know one agent's probably not going to use the pre-qual script at all. They're just going to set the appointment and go. We know someone has gotten a hold of our scripts and is using our pre-qual script. And we know someone has been in this meeting on this session and they're going to do it via Zoom and follow the same script. Who do you think has a better chance of getting the listing signed going in? Who do you think has a better chance of having a higher level of rapport going in? The agent that did it via Zoom. All right, so identify what 1 or 2 scripts that you need to master right now and start doing your pre-quals with sellers via Zoom instead of over the phone. All right, I think that was number 3. Yes, that was number 3. Okay, number 4. Recreate your value proposition to your database. Recreate your value proposition to your database for the month of June and for the rest of the year. Recreate your value proposition to your database for the month of June and for the rest of the year, and I'll explain what I mean by that. Scott, how are we doing on time? 15 more minutes, okay?
You are doing totally fine, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Recreate your value proposition. So here's the deal. At the beginning of the year, if you follow any of our stuff and if you follow anything that Gary says, he talks a lot about the last couple of years of putting together a plan that includes adding a lot of value to your database. In fact, we had a conference down in Orlando in January where for 3 days, that's all we did was talk about how to add value to the database, panelists, interviews, whatever. Well, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that was shared, you know, maybe 20% of the stuff was shared, we can't do anything with because it evolved around client events or things that had to do with getting groups of people together. Well, what I want you to do, depending on the rules of your state, I want you to identify in the month of June, number one thing you can do to add value to your database in the month of June, and probably rewrite your plan for the rest of the year. Because at the beginning of the year, you wrote your plan. You said, I'm going to do, these 12 things to add value to my database. I'm going to do these 6 calls to my database. I'm going to do these 3 mailers. I'm going to do these 2 events. I'm going to do, I'm going to add value this way. You put that list together, and chances are you can't do 1 or 2 or 3 things on that list. What I want you to do is identify one thing you're going to do to add value to your database in the month of June. Now, it can be maybe you're going to go live on Facebook and you're going to deliver the new market stats when the May market stats come out. Maybe you're going to organize a happy hour, but I don't know if your bars are open yet, but I know your restaurants are. Maybe you're organizing something at one of your restaurant patios, right? Our agents went as far as finding out what their top like 20 or 30 clients' favorite drinks were, and sending them out, FedExing, Amazoning, whatever their favorite drink to them, and then doing the virtual happy hour via Zoom, and everyone's holding up their drinks that were from their agent as a, hey, your first drink's on me type of thing. So whatever it is, how are you going to add value to your database? If you can do stuff outdoors now, which sounds like if we're able to do stuff outdoors, that means you guys were probably able to do it a month ago, then maybe do something outdoors with your database, something in the month of June to add value. Next, I want you to implement a 5-star review program. I want you to implement a 5-star review program now more than ever. And this is already starting to become a thing. Consumers are relying on online reviews. You thought they were relying on online reviews before. They're really relying on online reviews now. Why is that? Well, because they're nervous about who comes out to their house. So I want you to implement a 5-star review program. And in that 5-star review program, I want you to identify the 5 areas where they can review you on a regular basis, right? So for us, it's Google, it's Facebook, it's Zillow, it's Realtor.com, and it's HomeLight. Those are our 5. Google, Facebook, Realtor.com, Zillow, and HomeLight. Identify 5 places that your clients can review you. Go back to all of your sales the last 2 years. Ask your clients if they'll leave you feedback in those 5 areas. Now you have to give them instructions. You have to give them a sample of what it looks like. You have to give them a couple examples, copy and paste stuff, the reviews that you already have, so you can say, hey, here's some of the things that people are saying about us. Now here's the key. Ready? Offer them a gift card if they do it. Now, in your state and in our state, you can't give someone a gift card for referring you to somebody, right? That's illegal. However, you can reward someone for reviewing you. So offer them a $50 or a $75 gift card to a restaurant of their choice. If they're going to take the time to review you in those 5 areas, it's going to take 15, 20 minutes. Even if it's a $25 Starbucks card, I don't care. Ask for reviews. They're going to start deciding not only who they're reaching out to, because we get a ton of come list me's or we want to work with you guys based on your reviews. We get a ton of those now. We have over 1,000 reviews on Zillow. You don't need 1,000 reviews, but you need more than 7. You need more than 17. Let's start working on getting those reviews up. Number 6, if you haven't yet, I want you to update your listing and buyer checklists and or plans of actions. If you haven't yet, I want you to update your buyer checklist and or plans of actions, meaning the things that you present when you go out to a listing presentation, the things that you present when you go out to a buyer consultation. By the way, you can get all kinds of great designs in Command, in the Design Center in Command. What I want to make sure you're doing is that it's updated post-COVID. I don't want you going out on appointments with material that you created in January and February and saying, yeah, the showing process has changed a little bit. Sorry, this is from before COVID. No, you can't say that. You're gonna get a point knocked against you. You need to say, hey, since COVID, we've implemented A, B, and C, and here's how showings work. And that's right in your buyer plan of action. That's right in your seller plan of action. If you're the agent that goes out and says, yeah, sorry, things have changed a little bit. This is from February, obviously before COVID. You're going to already have a notch against you, because I promise you your competitors like me are going in and saying, post-COVID, we handle showings A, B, C. Post-COVID, we handle offers A, B, C, right? Whatever has changed, make sure it's updated what you present to the consumer. Number 7, take this opportunity to recreate your morning routine. Take this opportunity to recreate your morning routine. I want your morning routine to look different in June than it did in May. All right. Obviously, in May, you know, a lot of you were school teachers, a lot of you were realtors, a lot of you were cooks, a lot of you were cleaners, a lot of you were counselors, right? You had all hats, right? Now that things have started to loosen up a little bit, you know, the kids are maybe out of school or going to be out of school any day now, homeschool that is. You have an opportunity to recreate your new morning routine. You've heard me say a million times, if you master the morning, everything else will fall into place. All of the coaching clients that work with us, we require them or we ask them to send us a copy of their morning routine. We critique it, we ask questions about it. We want to make sure you're sticking to it, because if your morning routine is strong, everything else falls into place. And let me give you a little tip on a morning routine. As much as possible, everything needs to happen at the same time every morning. Okay, so whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, everything needs to happen at the same time. You got to find something that can take place 5 days in a row. You build momentum, you build consistency, you build habit, and next thing you know, consistent activities lead to consistent results. So you do the same thing at 8 a.m., you do the same thing at 9 a.m., you do the same thing at 10 a.m., right? Now, I get it. Every now and then there's a meeting thrown in or something like that, but for the most part, your morning routine does not change. Take this opportunity to rewrite your new morning routine for the month of June. Number 8, similar to those lines, along those same lines, if you haven't already, you need to complete the post-COVID business plan. If you haven't put together a post-COVID business plan, you're missing the boat, all right? Because the best of the best agents have taken their 2020 plan, right? I've got my, it looks like it's all wet because, yeah, it got wet. I got my original 2020 plan right here, okay? The original 2020 plan, the best of the best have thrown this away and created a new one. And everything from this, there's been some things that have been transferred over. There's been some things that have been updated in the new plan. If you want a copy of our exact plan, I will share it with you. You can go to gloveru.com/plan. gloveru.com, GLOVER, the letter U.com/plan, PLAN. Thank you. Go there. You'll not only get a physical copy of the plan, but you'll also get a 40-minute instructional video where I walk you through every single step of the plan. If there's out of these 12 things, if there's one thing you do, if you're like, all right, this is a lot, this is overwhelming, if you pick one, just put the plan together, because the way we did business before has changed, A and B. You're probably a little on track, a little off track, a little above track. This is an opportunity for you to clean the slate and start over. Complete your post-COVID business plan. All right, number 9, utilize Facebook Live in the month of June more than ever. Utilize Facebook Live in the month of June more than ever. You've probably heard me say before, there's nothing else you can do on Facebook that generates more eyeballs, that generates more activity, that generates more comments, that generates more likes than going Facebook Live. Okay, it's the only thing you can do on Facebook that notifies 100% of your friends list. I get it. You take all this time. I'm with you. I do this all the time. You know, I'm thinking like, man, I must post on Facebook too much. People are getting tired of seeing my posts on Facebook. You spend all this time creating an image in design and commands, or using Canva, and you write a nice little thing to go along with it. The next thing you know, you get 7 likes. But you go live, and next thing you know, okay, well, Jeff, you know, there was only 7 people watching it live. I promise you go back and watch and click on that video a day or 2 later, your 7 views will turn into 70 or even 700, depending on how many Facebook friends you have. Utilize Facebook Live as much as possible right now. Number 10, identify which area. I want you to pick one area in the month of June and step up your accountability around that area. Okay, I don't care if it's daily contacts. I don't care if it's waking up earlier. I don't care if it's working out consistently. I don't care if it's sticking to your morning schedule. I don't care if it's setting 1 appointment a day. Identify one thing that you need to be held accountable to in the month of June, and ask someone to hold you accountable to it. Someone in this group, someone in the office. If you're not in our Glover U Inner Circle Facebook group, there's always people in there looking for role play partners or looking for accountability. Step up your accountability plan. Identify one thing to be held accountable to the month of June. Number 11, couple more. Start thinking of ways you can stand out in the month of June. Okay, what can you do to stand out from the crowd? Okay, everyone's going to be talking about how hot the market is and how everything's back into like full swing, and people are going to be saying COVID what. By the way, just because you're excited that things are improving, and just because you guys are able to work and that things have been pretty business as usual for you, doesn't mean that everyone else is. So always be mindful when you're making Facebook posts. Not everyone's excited, that we're back to work. Not everyone's excited that bars and restaurants are reopened, right? So just be mindful of that when you're posting. Finally, number 12, I want you to schedule a blitz day, 1 day a week for the last 3 weeks in June. Schedule a blitz day, 1 day a week for the last 3 weeks in June. So I like Wednesdays. Okay, what does a Wednesday blitz day look like? A Wednesday blitz day looks like from 9 until 5 or 8 until 6 or whatever time you designate. For us, we do 9 to 5. From 9 to 5, all we do is come in. We have accountability around our goals. So we say, okay, I'm going to make 40 contacts and I'm going to set 4 appointments today, 3 appointments, 2 appointments, whatever it is. So everyone comes in, everyone states their goals at the beginning, 9 to 5. Now this can be done from home too. You don't actually have to physically be in the office. You just have to find other people to hold you accountable. And on the Wednesday, the last 3 Wednesdays of the month, you identify a source of business. You pick your 3 favorite sources. All right, so for me, if you didn't figure this out by now, my favorite sources are expireds, for sale by owners, and I would say either internet leads or database. Those are a close third there. Pick one source, and from 9 to 5, all day long, that's all I work on for the entire day. No closings, no inspections, no appointments. That's what I do from 9 to 5. Maybe we have a Zoom check-in around lunchtime and a Zoom check-in around 2:30, and then maybe a 5 o'clock happy hour or drink together via Zoom or in the office if you can be in the office. But 1 day a week for the last 3 weeks of the month, identify a source of business and make that your lead generation day. If you're ever looking for any additional resources or anything, the number one spot you can go for anything, scripts, dialogues, videos, notes, anything I put out would be the Glover U Inner Circle that I just mentioned. It's a Facebook group. It's free to join. I'm constantly putting stuff in there. All things that I'm doing right now, like I said, I'm on the ground with you. So I know what you're going through. I know what it's like being on appointments. I know what objections you're receiving. And there you have it. So questions on anything we talked about?
You guys can go ahead and put those questions in the chat box below. Give Jeff a quick chance to sip his water, and he is fair game for you.
By the way,
ask away.
93 participants. Nice job. Great group.
All right. Let's see. Rudy had a question. Or what are the top 3 objections that you're seeing out there right now, Jeff?
So I'll answer that this way, and I forgot to share when I asked you to identify 1 or 2 scripts. The second script I usually mention is this one, and so you'll want to write this down if you like being armed with good scripts. If there were a financial advantage to making a move now, knowing full well you could do it safely, would you be interested in learning how? If there were a financial advantage to making a move now, knowing full well you could do it safely, would you be interested in learning how? Now, the reason why I'm sharing that based off the question of the objection is because we're still getting some people saying, in our state, technically we're still shelter in place. Now they just announced that everything's going to be opening soon. But a lot of consumers, you can't always assume that consumers think that we're listing and selling homes. That's a mistake a lot of agents make. They think every homeowner out there must know that we're working and that things are selling and things are moving. And the reality is if you prospect every day, at least in Michigan, people are like, oh, you guys are allowed to work? Yeah, we're allowed to work. And here's what we get. Oh, well, we still kind of want to wait till this thing's all said and done. Once the shelter in place is lifted, then maybe we'll consider it. So of course, when you ask a question, the number one objection, that's the number one objection we're getting right now. Even though the news is improving, even though we've been able to go back to work, there's still a lot of consumers out there that are saying, we really want to wait until, the governor gives the all clear, and then we'll consider it. So my response to that is, if you knew that there was a financial advantage to doing something now, knowing full well that you could do it safely, would you be interested in hearing how? And usually 7 times out of 10, I get, well, are things moving right now? Are things still selling, right? You have to assume they don't know this stuff. And then it starts down another path, and now I can set an appointment. Now, sometimes you'll get the response of, well, I don't think so. My 84-year-old mother-in-law lives with us, and she's got respiratory issues as it is, so we don't want to chance it. Okay, fine. Then I know that's a follow-up for later. But that's the number one objection that we're getting right now, and that's how we're handling it. Obviously, from buyers, the objection is there's no inventory. Inventory is low. And so my response to that is, you may have less homes to choose from right now, but what tends to happen is as the market improves and as data shows that the market's improving, interest rates tend to go up. So if there's not a lot to choose from and rates are ridiculously low right now, you may be able to save thousands of dollars over the life of your loan by maybe settling for a home that has 7 or 8 things that are important to you versus a home that has 9 or 10 out of 10 things that are important to you. So for buyers, the biggest objection we're getting is there's no inventory. We're going to wait. We're just going to wait. There's no inventory. And our response is, well, you can wait. If you knew, watch this, if you knew that by waiting, you might end up paying more for a house, would you still want to wait? If you knew that by waiting, you'd end up paying more for a house, would you still want to wait? Well, probably not. Well, how are they going to pay more? Well, two ways. Number one, you guys know you're probably experiencing a lot of multiple offer situations. So what that's doing is that's actually kind of artificially driving prices up a little bit. So when prices go up, guess what happens? That shows up in market data, and then next thing you know, new listings come on at higher prices. So as a buyer, you might actually be paying a higher price for home A, and B, your interest rate could go up from 3% to 3.25 or 3% to 3.5, which we just saw 3.5 last year. Well, what does that mean on a $200,000 house? Well, that's thousands of dollars over the life of the loan. So that would be my discussion with the buyer who says they want to wait because inventory is low. Good question. What else?
I had another question. Anything that you're seeing or that you'd recommend about the item 11, which was standing out in the month of June?
Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing that you could do in the month of June would be like community service types events. Anything you can do to partner with a nonprofit. You could technically start a nonprofit. Now that takes a lot of work and that takes a lot of time, but anything you can do around community, people are very sensitive to the need for more sense of community, right? Especially with protests and so forth. And I know you guys just addressed that. People are very sensitive to that. So anything you can do that involves community would be my focus in a way to stand out in the month of June.
Excellent. Thanks for that. All right. Not seeing anything.
And by the way, not to get political or anything, but be careful about doing anything. We actually started exploring the idea of doing something publicly, because we did something very publicly for nurses during COVID. And we started exploring the idea of maybe doing something publicly for what's considered the good police officers. Well, that would be probably controversial. So I would be mindful of doing something like that. So you just have to be mindful of your audience always.
Excellent. Any other questions for Jeff? Anything else we are seeing or
anything about business at all? It doesn't have to be related to any of the 12 points that I shared.
Yeah, Jeff, I actually have a question for you. How are we, some of our agents might be a little bit discouraged right now. To your jokes aside, Ohio really never went on shutdown for real estate, but it did go on a significant slowdown with the shelter in place. And, some of our agents just kind of muscled right through it, and the sky continues to be the limit. And then there's others that, maybe because they observed shelter in place personally, or their clients did, their business went down. What do you do to keep morale up amongst those agents, talking to, as we talk to our peers in the company and our buyers agents on our teams and so forth, what are you doing to help keep morale and spirits up?
Yeah. So a couple things. Number one, we tried to come up with a couple things that our agents could do who were more sensitive to it, or more concerned about it, or did not want to go out. And even on May 7th, I mean, May 7th for us, that was like the day we were let out of prison in terms of realtors go, but people were still very scared. So what we encouraged was, okay, what can you do to add value without having to go out? So one of the things, I'll give you for instance, one of the things we did was we created a very simple landing page and we bought a domain. I mean, we created a landing page and bought a domain. I mean, it was probably under $50 total. And we probably spent an hour on the landing page. It's not that impressive. We built it on Wix, right? Wix websites are like $10. And it's called improvemyshelter.com, improvemyshelter.com. And so we spent the first couple of weeks of May driving traffic to that domain to set up virtual meetings of things we can do to help an owner improve their home, whether they're selling or not. So our message was kind of, hey, listen, you've spent a lot of time in your home the last couple of months. You probably realize there's a lot of things you want to do to improve it. Don't spend another dime on improving your home until you talk to us. Go to improvemyshelter.com and schedule a virtual Zoom, FaceTime, whatever. We'll walk you through your house. We'll give you suggestions of things you can do to improve its value with no catch. You don't even have to be selling. You can tell us you plan on living in the home for 10 more years. We will spend 30, 45 minutes, however much time it takes, to make sure you know exactly what you can do to add value to your home and get the best return on your money. So we tried to find things that we can do that involved, not going out and physically meeting with people. And that was, by the way, I mean, that's something when we thought of the name Improve My Shelter, we're like, hey, we're just going to use this every year around March, April, because what are people doing? They're thinking about getting their home ready for sale and they want ideas on what they can do to improve it. And no one's ever going to forget the term shelter now, right? So that's just one out of the box way.
That's great. A couple other questions came through the chat. One was from one of our newest agents. Any tips for a new agent starting out in this market? There's a lot you could do, right?
Oh my gosh. Here's what I love about this market. And this was one of the, this started off as 24 points. I narrowed it down to 12. But one of the other 12 that got thrown away talks about how so many agents are paralyzed and shutting down because of fear. And if I'm a new agent, I'm diving in head first. I just the next office over is one of my agents. His name is Devante. And I propped open his door this morning. I said, Devante, how many expires did we have yesterday? He said, we had 96. I said, that's awesome. I said, I bet the expired, now 96, we cover the entire Detroit market, right? That's a 2-hour radius. So I know some of you are like, 96, man, we only had 22 or whatever. We don't just work one town. We work the entire metro area. So I said, Devante, what are you sensing? I bet there's less realtors calling expires right now, aren't there? He's like, yeah, they're friendly. He's like, I haven't heard, you're the 13th call this morning. He said, I haven't heard since COVID started. I said, that's good. That's good. Because COVID is, I mean, it's not an afterthought, but it's definitely, I mean, of course, the riots and things that took place are kind of, that's the top story now. But definitely people are not back into their routines. I had an agent in one of my market centers, actually. I do a top 5 mastermind with our top 5 agents. And he admitted, he's like, Jeff, I got to admit, I never missed a day of calling expires in the last 5 years. And I haven't called expired since we've been shelter in place. So I think about, I'm just using expires as an example. If you had anywhere from 10, 12, 15, 18 agents that regularly did it at 8 in the morning, because everyone's routines are out of whack, people are having a tough time getting back into the routine. So if I'm a new agent, I'm jumping in head first. I'm learning the scripts. I'm writing out every single script. I'm chanting it aloud. I'm finding role play partners, and I'm doing everything I can to master the scripts.
Excellent. That is great advice. Real quick, do you use a dialer? One person,
yes,
one dialer?
We use a single line dialer.
Single line dialer.
I would stay away from triple line dialers. Are being heavily scrutinized right now. I would use a single line dialer. Vulcan 7 is the dialer we use. VULCAN, the number 7. It also comes with data for sale by owner, expired, and circle prospecting data.
Excellent. One person wanted to clarify around the reviews. Love that strategy. Are you having your client go to 5 different places to post the views, or are you targeting certain clients for certain sites?
No, we want them to go to all 5 places.
Okay.
Yep, all 5 places. And that's why we call it the 5-star program. Now, if we weren't paying them, if we weren't sending them the dinner, I'd probably just pick 1 or 2. In fact, that's how we built our reviews so strong on Zillow. I used to give the advice, I'll never forget, I think it was probably 2014. They had me on stage, which was crazy. I'm like, really? You guys have me talking, Scott, you'll love this one. You guys have me talking about online lead generation? Okay. They had me on stage in 2000 because I'm like Mr. Anti-Technology. Which I know is getting old, so I need to stop.
Confused.
But anyways, they had me on stage talking about generating online business. And one of the things I talked about is how our reviews are a big part of our business. And I think at the time we had maybe 380 or 400 reviews. And my advice was focus on one thing and build it up. You know, what is the number one place that consumers are going to in your market? And just focus on that. Now for us, it was Zillow. So we just focused on our Zillow reviews. Well, then I started thinking, well, gosh, Google's becoming important. Facebook reviews are coming important. We can't just send them to Zillow anymore. So we're like, we're going to have to send them to 5 different places. And if I'm going to ask them to do that, I probably need to reward them for doing so. Now, by the way, it's a tip on how you identify those 5. I would just look up, Cleveland Realtor Reviews, or Westlake Realtor Reviews, or Bedford Realtor Reviews, and it'll show you, the top 5 sites that people are going to. The top 5 sites on Google are the same thing that consumers are seeing, so I would identify those 5.
Excellent.
So, for instance, in our market, one of them is HomeLight. I speak to some audiences, they don't even know what HomeLight is, so it might be Yelp for them.
Excellent. One quick question. In, what was it, April, you mentioned you did something special for nurses. What was that?
Yeah, so we delivered just over 5,000 sub sandwiches to all of the area hospitals, and dropped them off, at the front door to the nurses working the COVID units. And it ended up, we sent out a press release ahead of time. We were hoping it would get picked up. And it ended up getting some good press. It made every single news station, and we're still getting thank you cards from the nurses, thanking us for doing that. And it actually was kind of cool. And I would imagine it happened in Cleveland because people started talking a lot about it. But we were one of the first to do it in Detroit. And next thing you know, every other news story was these businesses dropping off subs and sandwiches and food and stuff to nurses. So that was cool to see that it caught on.
That's awesome.
Jeff, I think we have one other question too.
Sure.
Probably easier if I just share the screen.
Okay.
It looks like the answer's there. I'm sorry. We
have to end on that one. Are you kidding me?
All right.
No, we'll give you one more. Just with the expireds, with less people being in that sphere, are you seeing your timeline to setting the appointment or converting that to a listing? Are you seeing that shortened with less competition, or is it still a longer drip campaign strategy?
So here's what we're doing with expireds right now. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Keep this between us. We're going back to every single house that came off the market in November, December, January, and February. Why are we doing that? Because that group of people told us, 9 out of 10 of those callers said, we want to wait until spring. We want to wait until after the holidays. We want to wait until spring. Well, I believe we have very similar climates. So what is spring? I mean, you guys get the same weather we get just a day later. So what is spring? Well, in our market, spring is like April 1st. Okay. Well, not really, but you know what I'm saying? Like, we start telling people it's spring, even though spring isn't really till like May 15th. Anyways, when is spring? March, April, May. Were people able to list in March, April, May? In our market, even if they were able to list, it was digitally and they didn't want to, right? We had to like convince them of the safe way of doing it. So we're going back through to every single home that came off the market in November, December, January, February, and making sure they know that it is hot, things are moving. At the time, you were probably thinking you were going to wait till spring. Now is spring. Now is the time. So we're not just focusing on the new expireds that come off the market every single day. We're going back all the way to those months.
That's awesome. That's a great insider tip there. Really appreciate that, Jeff, and for you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Excellent content as always, and appreciate you making the trip virtually down here.
Sure.